Welcome to Khetz Tutorials, and in this video, the first video under the statistics section, I'll just be going through a few terms, and I hope this is revision to you. You must have seen, or you should have seen, these terms in grade 11, and let's get right into it. So starting with the mode. So what is the mode? It's the most common element in a data set. So for example, let's say we had numbers 5, 4, 11, 100, then that. Then what is the mode in this data set? So basically the number which occurs the most common value. So this occurs once, that occurs once, that once, that once, but one basically is found twice. And that would be the mode, and that would be your answer if you ask for the mode in this particular data set. Well, it's definitely random. I just picked some random numbers out of my head. And the mode is basically the one which basically occurs the most in a data set. And the median is the middle value in an ordered data set. So if you have a data set, let's use the same data set. And it says that the data set has to be ordered. Now, if you look at the values that I wrote up here, they're not ordered. So first you have to make sure that your values are ordered. And if I ordered these ones, then that'll be the resulting data set. That'll be the resulting order. So now that I have everything in order, what I can do is basically find the median. And the position of the median can be found using this formula, where you basically take the number of elements in the data set. So let's count the number of elements that we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 elements to deal with, and that would be the n. So if you say 6, which is the n, plus 1 divided by 2, that would be 7 divided by 2, which is 3.5. So the median is expected to fall 3.5 positions from the start, which is some point over there. And this brings me to another point. If you have an even number of elements, like in this case, the elements that we have here, we have 6 elements, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then your median will basically consist of the addition of the elements on either side. In our case, we have 4 and 5. Then you basically divide that by 2, and the answer should be 4.5. Now, if you had an odd number of elements, so let's say you had 5, or that would be one less element, then using this same formula, now your elements would now be 5. So 5, using this formula to find the position of your median. Now say 5 plus 1 divided by 2, and your median would be at position 3 if you now have 5 elements. So now that we have 5 elements, this would be the median. 1, 2, 3. This over there would be the median. So if you have an odd number of elements, then your median can basically be found directly from the data set. But if you have an even number of elements, you have to divide the elements on either side of the line that you basically draw. Like in this case, we found 3.5, so you had to count 1, 2, 3. Right in the middle of the 2 points, then you basically add those and divide by 2 to find your median. And now the mean is the average of the data set. And you find the average by adding all the elements. So you find the sum of the values in the data set, then you divide by the number of elements that you have in the data set. Using this new data set of 5 elements, you basically should add them up. And another way of writing this is as follows. And you basically divide by n. So this is a symbol, it's called sigma, it's for summation. So you basically sum up all the elements and you'd add 1, 1, 4, and 5. Then you divide by the number of elements. In this case, we have 5 elements. So you divide by that, and that will give you your mean. This is the average. So when you average out values, you add all of your values, then you divide by the number of values or the number of elements. All right. And that is all with regards to the terms above. And we can now move down to the 5-number summary. And this consists of the minimum. And the minimum, just as the English term suggests, or exactly as it is the lowest value in the data set. So for a data set, if I remember it correctly, the minimum here was, I think we also had 5. Doesn't matter, I'm just making an example anyway. The minimum, which is the smallest value, is 1 in this case. And the lower quartile, you basically find that by looking at the lower half. So the median should give you the middle point, and in this case, it would be the third element for 5 elements. Now you have a lower half and an upper half. And now in the lower half, you also have a middle point or median. And since you have an even number, then your median should fall somewhere there, which is your Q1. So it's the median of the lower half. The lower quartile is the median of the lower half, and the upper quartile is the median of the upper half, which should be somewhere there, and it's denoted as Q1 and Q3 respectively. And the median of the overall data set is Q2. So the median is also called Q2. And the maximum is just basically the highest value. In our case, it would be 11. It is the highest value, that is the max. And you basically can write all of this, or you can use the box and whisker to show all of this information. And you should see something like that in my next video, where I basically go through an example which shows how to do, or how to compute all of these terms, or how we actually use the terms to find answers. So that is all with regards to the 5-number summary. So I'm now going to move on to measures of dispersion, right? Starting with the range. Now that we know what each of these values or terms are, we can now talk about the range, which would be the difference of the maximum and the minimum. So you take your maximum value, then subtract the minimum value from it, and that will give you your range. And the interquartile range is the difference, or the range within this little box over there. So after finding your Q3 and your Q1, basically just do this operation to find your interquartile range. And your percentiles, it is the value below which a specific percentage of data elements lie. So let's say you ask for a certain percentile, then you basically take that, divide it by 100, then multiply by the number of elements in the data. So if you are asked what is the 25th percentile, basically, so a percentage has to be divided by 100, and that is why I basically divide by 100, and you'd find the number of elements which are part of the first 25% of a data set. That is what we basically mean. So how many numbers fall in this section if you were asked for the 25th percentile? And for the 5 data set example that we had just now, then this is what you do. And this would give you the number of elements which form part of this percentile. And the answer should be something like 1.25, right? And if you want to round down, then that would be just 1 element. So only 1 element out of the 5 elements that we had forms part of the 25th percentile, and all the others basically form the rest of it. So that is all that I had to say in this video. I just wanted to do a revision of the terms and how you'd find them and what the terms basically mean. And in the next video, I'll just be going through an example to show a practical application of all of this stuff that I have been talking about in this video. So this is the start of statistics. I hope you liked the video. If you do like the video, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I will see you in the next video.